Good evening tonight. It is actually January the 7th, 2025. We're so thankful for all of you for being here tonight. Happy New Year to all of you who we hadn't had an opportunity to speak to. We got a new board up here tonight, so we want to welcome Commissioner Stan Edwards. It's his third term. Commissioner Demond Mason is his second term. Commissioner Stephanie Lynn's her first term. Commissioner J.C. Henderson, I don't know what term it is, but I think he got like 29 years, if I'm not mistaken, or 30.
No.
How many?
27.
27 years. Wow. And Commissioner District 5, Miss Leanne Long. So we want to take this time to say welcome to all of you and Happy New Year to all of you. Tonight we are here. We have a special guest, and I am Chairman Baines. This is my third term, and so we welcome you tonight. We have a special guest with us, the chaplain, the bishop. He has so many titles. Bishop T. Demetrius Smith, if you would, please come on up, sir. He's one of the chaplains over at the Newton County Sheriff Office, along with he pastors church, and he do so many community things, and I thought it would be great to have him to come tonight to give us our invocation. Following him, we will have Newton County Fire Guard tonight. They were going to do the colors. And so we want to, we just lost Jimmy Carter, one of our presidents, and a man that did so much for this world. And so we're just so thankful to have Bishop tonight, and I know he'll remember that in his prayers. He bless our county for this year.
Amen.
It's in your hands, sir.
All right. Well, thank you, sir, and thank this Board of Commissioners. And again, Happy New Year's to everyone. Thank y'all so much. As we go to the Lord in prayer, let us pray together. Heavenly Father, we are gathered here today. We come before you with grateful hearts to thank you for this opportunity to serve our community and for the guidance that you provide in your decision as we decide together. We ask for your wisdom tonight to fill this room and illuminate our minds and our hearts as we discuss matters that impact our county and our nation. We pray for these your leaders here tonight, and we pray for these your people who come now to hear and get clarity of an understanding of why we hear and the purpose of why we hear. So we ask for your peace and your love and your joy tonight. And again, God, we pray for our world tonight, God, that there would be great peace and understanding in our world. We thank you for our Savior, Jesus Christ, and all that you are doing for us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Can you all stand, please, for the... flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Order! Arm! Code! Post! Prepared, post. Post.
cover. Ready, face. Present arms. Order, arms. Ready, front. Right, face. Forward, mark.
Thank you, Bishop Smith, and thank you to the Newton County Color Guard. At this time, we want to, we seek a motion that we adopt the agenda, please.
So moved.
Is there a second? It was a motion by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? It passes 5-0. Thank you so much. Next is Next is the citizens' comments. This opportunity that we allow citizens to make comments about agenda topics only. You have 3 minutes to do so. You may come at this time. Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Happy New Year to y'all.
Happy New Year to you.
Dave Norton, 4357 Highway 142, Newborn. No, I haven't moved yet. We have some zoning agendas tonight, and so I would like to repeat a few things that I've said over the past year. In the standards of review of the Newton County zoning ordinance, the current Newton County zoning ordinance, and the Newton County development regulations, both state the purpose of the board is to protect and promote the public health, moral safety, and general welfare of the county. Division 600, Section 620060 of the Newton County zoning ordinance states the board to review the population density patterns and possible increase or overtaxing of the load on public facilities, including but not limited to schools, utilities, and streets. I'm sure y'all knew that already. I just refreshing your memory. There's a quote. I can't remember the entire quote, especially can't remember who to credit it to. But each year is an open book, and we get to write those pages this year. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Anyone else? Please state your name and your address for the record, please. You have 3 minutes to do so.
Maya Allen Neely, District 3. I too am going to repeat some things that have been said in past meetings in regards to specifically to an appeal for development on Fairview Road. They already have a development across the street. Those rentals are $2,400 to $2,800, and they were initially stated that they were going to be for sale, and there was nothing in our ordinances that stopped them from making them rentals. That cannot be sustained. It may be okay today, but it cannot be sustained at those rates. And we don't need another 70-odd rental homes developments in that area. So I implore you to again deny on behalf of not only Newton County District 3, but the entire Newton County as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please state your name and your address for the record, please. You have 3 minutes to do so.
Good evening. Sheely's Initiative, Government Affairs. The Newton County Board of Commissioners has adopted Robert Rules of Order as a parliamentary procedure. It's there in their documents. This adoption is outlined in the Newton County Rules for Conduct of Business, which can be found on the official Newton County website. Resolution R12024, implementation of District 3 initiatives, which was passed to table by this board, has not been placed on unfinished business. That implementation was in regards to Protect District 3 projects, which was brought to me by former Chairman Lanier Sims, who also had his passed in 2018. When the Board of Commissioners vote to table, this comes from Parliamentary Procedure, Robert Rules of Order. When the Board of Commissioners vote to table an agenda item for the next meeting, the appropriate placement is under unfinished business. If the item was tabled and is intended to be discussed at the next meeting, it would typically appear under unfinished business on the next agenda. The item is currently missing. I'm also speaking in regards to item number 11C, Covington Creek. When I sat here and we actually approved, well, it wasn't approved, the resident actually stated, the applicant stated that they were only gonna build homes, residential homes. Then they came back years later and stated they were gonna build rentals. When I reached out to our development service director, she said because we had nothing in place, that's one of the reasons why they switched over. It was denied to build rental homes when they want to build additional 50 homes by this board. So I implore you all to do the same for 11C. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Thank you. Next on the agenda is the chairman's report. I don't have anything tonight. Mr. County Manager, you have anything in your report?
I do, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Thank you, board members, and thank you, residents. I come before you with the county manager's report, and again, Happy New Year. As always, we're going to focus on the people, and today we're going to talk about our infrastructure workforce team. We'll start with development services and the work that they do, and we're going to take a 3-month snapshot at the permits, business licensing, zoning applications, planning and development applications, and total revenue collected. When you look at the applications processed and the permits, on average, that's 104 per month. When you look at permits issued, you're looking at just under 104 a month. When you look at revenue collected in that section, we're looking at just under $139,000. When you go to the business license component, you're looking at approximately 24 new license issued. When you look at license renewals, you're looking at about 161 licenses that were renewed. And when you look at revenues collected in that area, you're looking at about $23,000 or so. When you look at the zoning applications processed, you're looking at approximately 17 applications. When you look at the revenue collected there, it's just under $2,900. When you look at planning and development applications processed, we're looking at about 9 applications processed per month. You're looking at the revenue collected there. We're looking at approximately $6,900 a month. And when we look at the total revenue in development services, it is $188,000 during that monthly cycle, or monthly average cycle, pardon me. When we look at public works and the work orders that are being performed, when you look at District 1 on average, from a monthly basis, that's about 129 work orders that we've went out to assess. When you look at District 2, that's just at 85 work orders a month assessed. When you look at District 3, approximately 66 work orders assessed. When you look at District 4, approximately 73 work orders that were assessed. When you look at District 5, you're looking at approximately 91 work orders assessed. And when you look at the total work orders assessed on a monthly basis, we're looking at 434 work orders performed by a staff of 47 full and part-time staff. And when you look at the overall work orders, we did about 1,300 work orders completed across the county during that last quarter of 2024. And again, that's with 47 full and part-time staff. When you talk about our cleanup crew, we picked up nearly 4,200 bags of trash and took in about 43 tons of trash to the landfill. In addition to that, work duty and responsibility. We look at the resurfacing and paving done by that department, and approximately 25 miles of roadway were resurfaced or paved during that calendar year of 2024. When we look at road building and dirt road paving projects, approximately 4.5 miles. And in particular, that initiative took place at Waters Bridge Circle, Benton Dairy Road, Davis Ford Road, Malcolm Road, Ray Road, Bohannon Road. There were major culvert replacements on Benton Dairy Road and Cooper Road completed in the calendar year as well in 2024. And additionally, 0.6 miles of the Cricket Frog Trail have been paved to newly rehabilitated bridge. Our fleet services, they completed about 2,200 plus work orders during the calendar year of 2024. This averages about 44 work orders completed weekly. When we talk about vehicles that were purchased, 17 new trucks and heavy equipment, 5 tractors, 3 bush hogs, 1 motor grader, 2 Caterpillar skid steers, 1 roller, 2 dump trucks, 1 grapple truck, 1 used bucket truck, and 1 rollback wrecker. When we talk about Department of Transportation, completed projects, roundabout construction completed at Kirkland Road and Jack Neely Road, intersection improvements at Dobbs Road and Crowell Road, bridge replacement completions, Brown Bridge Road at Snapping Shoals Creek, bridge rehab completed, Cricket Frog Trail at Alcovia River, and there are currently 8 additional major road and bridge construction projects currently in the engineering or construction phase that we're looking at as well. And then, of course, the 2 engineering studies in the initial phases, Comprehensive Transportation Plan and the Road Safety Plan. Water resources. We continue to monitor our water and make sure that it is safe. The most recent test occurred on December 3rd, and the results of that testing cycle reported as 0 in terms of contaminated water, and that's been the running average since we've taken on this task. Solid waste. The calendar year, nearly 5,400 hang tags have been sold to residents in Newton County, and at the end of the November month, we had a routine compliance inspection conducted, and we are in good standings, and we had an evaluation of 100. This concludes my county manager's report.
Thank you so much, sir. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. C. And what I want to ask was, I understand you said it was 0, I guess, carcinogens. So, last meeting, I asked the same question, and so what you're telling me that there's no PFAS in the water, forever chemicals in our water at all for the last 2 months. And it's the County Manager Cooper.
What I'm telling you is that there's 0 PFAS detected in our testing cycles in December.
Okay. So,
and if we need to continue with this conversation via town hall, or you need the water professionals present, I'll be more than willing to set that up for you, sir.
And thank you, and it's very considerate of you. Only thing I'm asking is to show me something, and I'm asking the county manager, that's whom I'm supposed to go through.
Right.
Is to give me something in writing saying that there's no forever chemicals in our water.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. County Manager, you may not have this answer right off the top of your head. The Notify Newton app that people use, are those included in the work orders that are counted when you give this report?
Yes, they are.
Okay, good deal. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Thank you. Before we go to unfinished business, I do see the newly elected county coroner in his office, in here tonight, Miss Kimberly Griggs. If you would wave your hand. Yep. Hopefully y'all do not have to use her, but if you do, yeah, hopefully you don't have to use her services, but she is here tonight. Next is unfinished business. I seek a motion, please.
It's added to the consent agenda.
No. Unfinished business and then consent agenda.
These will be considered under the consent agenda because they changed the names.
No, but we gotta do the old first and then get to the new.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I seek a motion, please. Ask again, I seek a motion. All right,
What do you want them to do?
whatever they please.
See, these were tabled. These were tabled.
I know. So, Commissioner Henderson, go ahead.
The question I have is I know you, in our county clerk, Miss Jackie Smith, who we all love, y'all having a conversation. Could you kind of share that conversation? Because we are in a public meeting, share that conversation. And then what exactly are you asking for as the motion?
Well, the conversation is, this is unfinished business, and we're seeking a motion whether you guys want to approve these appointments that you guys, I guess, tabled back on December the 3rd.
These are not approved.
Yeah.
These are the
So,
ones that are approved.
so they got to make a motion.
So
whether they
moved.
want- So a motion needs to be made whether y'all want to approve the names that y'all tabled on December the 3rd. So we need a motion. So moved. Is there a second? Is there a second? Is there a second? That motion failed for,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, that motion failed for lack of support. Next, we're on the consent agenda.
Yeah, now, thank you, honey.
I seek a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Is there a second? It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Long. I know we do have one name that we need to remove from, and that is Miss Caroline Cowan, District 5. Caroline Cowan, District 5. But as we always say, if your name is on this agenda tonight and you are being approved to serve on the board, if you don't mind, would you please stand? We do want to take this opportunity to thank you guys for your commitment that you have made to this community, and we greatly appreciate your service that you are giving to this county. Thank you so much.
Can you
We-
repeat who made that motion?
Commissioner Mason made the motion and Commissioner Long seconded that motion.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor? It passes 5-0. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chair, we have the next item on the agenda under new business, item number 10. We have our county manager, Mr. Patrick Jogstetter, regarding resolution number R as in Robert 010725. And this resolution is requesting the introduction of local legislation amending an act that created the Newton County Public Facilities Authority.
Thank you so much, guys. And we do want to give you a heads up, because I know this may take a little time, that at 7:30 we move directly into zoning. So if we cut Patrick off, we'll be going directly into zoning at 7:30. Mr. Jogstetter.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening. Happy New Year to all of you. As you are all probably aware, back in 2020, Newton County Public Facilities Authority was created by the General Assembly of the state of Georgia. By virtue of your service on the Board of Commissioners, you also serve as a member of the Newton County Public Facilities Authority. The reason that authority exists is to serve primarily as a financing conduit for the county. The county only has so many ways it can borrow money to build projects. You can do general obligation bonds, which are extraordinarily expensive and take a lot of time because you have to go have a public referendum on them. You can do revenue bonds, and that is for projects that generate revenue. Or you can do what we call these local authority bonds. The Public Facilities Authority, when it was created for the express purpose of financing only those projects for which you could also do a revenue bond for. It was limited to only revenue bond projects. As you are also all probably aware at this moment, the county and the city of Covington are working towards an expansion of the emergency management facility, the E911 Center. We have determined, and that's through a working group that includes both your financial advisors, the city's financial advisors, Mr. Cooper and his staff, and the city management staff, that the best way to finance that project would be by use of the Public Facilities Authority. The city of Covington is also undertaking some public improvements, which I think relate primarily to some drainage and sewer improvements, that they could also, if the Public Facilities Authority's purposes are expanded, utilize the Public Facilities Authority for. The way that would work is the Public Facilities Authority is basically a flow-through for the financing. We're not really loaning money, we're not really borrowing money, we're just in the middle between the borrower and the lenders. In order, however, to take advantage of those financing opportunities, it is necessary that the General Assembly expands the ability of the Public Finance Authority to operate. And before you is a resolution that would request that the General Assembly do just that. It's a local act of the General Assembly. It's not a general law, and the way local acts are introduced and presented and processed is by request typically from the local government. So we are asking that the Board of Commissioners request that your local legislative delegation present during this upcoming session of the General Assembly a local act to amend the act that created the Public Facilities Authority. And it would authorize the Public Facilities Authority to undertake and finance all buildings, facilities, and equipment necessary or convenient for the efficient operation of Newton County or any department, agency, division, or commission thereof. So essentially any county facility. It would also authorize us to work with the school district if we so choose. So it would authorize the Public Facilities Authority to assist in financing Newton County School District projects and any project undertaken by a municipal corporation within Newton County, in addition to any undertaking authorized by the Revenue Bond Law. So what we're doing is we're allowing the Public Facilities Authority to reach out and finance projects that would not otherwise be able to be financed through the existing authority. This is a fairly typical common practice. Most public facilities authorities, when they are created to expand beyond the Revenue Bond Law. And what that allows you to do is it allows you to leverage the government finance opportunities that are in the marketplace to the fullest extent. So ultimately, this will make your borrowing endeavors less expensive. It will typically make them less expensive to get up front because there's significant issuance cost on these bonds. It will also allow you to take advantage of better interest rates available to government entities. I would recommend you approve this so we can put it into the hands of your legislative delegation at the earliest possible opportunity so they can get it presented during the session of the General Assembly. I'm happy to answer any questions. We've got about 2.5 minutes.
Any questions? Commissioner Henderson.
So if it's approved by our delegation, who would be our representative?
So if the board approves a resolution tonight, I will forward it to all of the members of the legislative delegation. And what they typically do when session starts is the delegation will elect from among themselves a chair. I don't know that they've done that yet, but once they've elected among themselves a chair of the delegation, that will be the member of the General Assembly that'll sort of push it through, typically.
So move.
Well, let's get a motion so we can get it. It's been a motion by Commissioner Henderson. Is there a second?
Second.
A second by Commissioner Mason. Discussion. I think Commissioner Edwards was first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I realize we're short on time. So, Patrick, in your opinion, this authority, coupled with our outstanding financial position at the moment, would that further enhance our ability for the lowest of the interest rates should we need to borrow money?
Yes, it should reflect in a savings when you undertake these proceedings.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think Commissioner Lindsay was next. Guys, it's actually 7:30. So we're going to come back to, after zoning, we're going to come back to this. Ms. Applewhite, if you would, please come on up. Write down your questions, and we'll be back shortly to that. Good evening again.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the board. We have a total of 3 petitions this evening. The first 2 are old business. They were initially heard back in November and tabled by the board pending an updated review in regards to the access points for the project from GDOT. At this time, the applicant nor myself, we have not gotten that preliminary review back as yet. And the applicant is requesting for the board to table these cases until they can get that information. They're asking for, it will be for 60 days if the board does agree to that, to allow for time to re-advertise and so on. And this will be for case number REZ 24-000007 and the companion case CUP 24-000009, which was a convenience store and retail outlets at Highway 13 South, Highway 212. District.
So yeah, I wasn't here, so have y'all had a public hearing and all of that?
We did in November.
Okay.
Yes, we had yes, we had the public hearing and everything already, and the board tabled it requesting additional information, which in essence would have been to hear from GDOT in terms of the access points for this project.
Okay, and this is District
1. This is 1.
Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we table at the applicant's request rezoning REZ 24000007.
Is there a date?
Oh, for 60 days, if you don't mind.
I'm sorry?
For 60 days, you asked
For
how much
60
time?
days?
Yes.
Okay. Commissioner Edwards has made a motion that we table this for 60 days. Is there a second? Commissioner Long, second it. Any discussion? All in favor? All in favor? Stand table, 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. I'm just going to skip down to the next. Our second petition this evening is an appeal case. It's APP 24-00007. The name of the applicant for this appeal is Michael Daughtry, and the representative today is John Nix.
Ms. Applewhite, they only voted the zoning, to table the zoning case. They need to go now and vote.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
To
Oh, the
table
cup.
the
To the
CEA.
cup, yes.
Mr. Chairman, motion to table conditional use permit CUP 24000009 for 60 days.
60 days. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. All right, is there any discussion? All in favor? Stand table for 60 days. Thank you. 11.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
Again, our next petition is the appeal case, APP 24-00007. The original case number was preliminary plat 24-000009, and the original applicant was the same, Michael Daughtry. Our property owner is the Covington Creek Holding LLC, by Michael Daughtry as well, and the address of the property is 3480 Fairview Road, tax ID 0025044. The proposed use is a single-family residential development. The existing zoning is R2, single-family residential. It's in the Almond Overlay, Tiers 1, and a small part is in Tier 2. We're in the Yellow River watershed, in the established suburban core and live-work corridor areas. The proposed density is 2.59 units per acre, and the size is 71 lots with 29.05 total acres. And this is in Commissioner District 3. And the appeal request is to appeal the Planning Commission's decision to deny the preliminary plat extension which would have been PPP 24-000009 for the Covington Creek Springs. So this plat was originally approved back in 2022, and I'll go through a little later some of the challenges that were experienced, which caused a delay and pushed their timetable out, hence the request today. And as mentioned before, the property is 29.05 acres, and they're proposing 7-to-1 lots. In a brief history, on October 22nd, 2024, the Planning Commission tabled this petition, and on November 13th of 2024, the Planning Commission denied the preliminary plat extension for Covington Creek Springs. And these are the character areas, as mentioned before. They are included in your petition packet, so I won't read through in detail, but it is the established suburban core, and the proposed land use as well as the zonings are appropriate. And they also have the live-work corridor, which is the same, which is an allowed use in this character area. And just a bit of a background, based on the location of Fairview Road, it's going to be a single-family residential subdivision. The preliminary plat analysis, staff did a review, in reference to section 460 and section 1415-030 of the Unified Development Ordinance. And in reviewing this, while we anticipate that there will be an increase in traffic because it's a new subdivision, we did not find, when all the departments reviewed, there were no substantial potential, that adverse effects that the subdivision would bring. We do have comments included from the Planning Commission meeting. There was opposition on October 22nd, and concerns raised included homes that were going to be rentals, potentially causing property values of owner-occupied homes in the neighboring subdivisions to decrease. There were also concerns regarding the subdivision's density and the rock blasting that occurred during the LDP phase, as well as the pending update of the Unified Development Ordinance. Recommended conditions. The developer experienced considerable challenges with the rock that had to be blasted and properly disposed of. This created delays in the timeline, and they have been making progress on the ground, and they're requesting a 12-month extension to complete the ground preparation and stabilization, as well as do the final plat. And in reviewing the items per the Newton County Unified Development Ordinance, for the above sections mentioned, which deals with the effect of the preliminary plat approval. Should the board approve this preliminary plat extension, it should be subject to the following conditions. The preliminary plat shall be extended for 12 months in order to stabilize the ground and complete installing and necessary infrastructure. The final plat for a phase or for the entire subdivision shall be approved within 12 months of any preliminary plat extension that is granted tonight. Prior to obtaining a final plat, all comments from the Newton County Development Services staff, the Newton County Transportation Department, the Water Authority, Environmental Health as applicable, Newton County Fire Department, Georgia Soil and Water Conservation, and the U.S. Army Corps as applicable, shall be addressed. This is the location of the parcel. It's on Fairview Road. Along Fairview and Access Road is the closest cross-section. We have the Ginn Auto Sales up here just for your bearings. And again, we have our zoning map, which is R2, Almond Overlay tier. This is the preliminary plat that was approved, the layout. These are just site photos over the last year. They're showing the work that they have completed so far. These are photographs that were supplied by the applicant. It gives you an aerial of the subdivision. So this is as of July of last year. We've got the Faircliff subdivision here, Winchester Park, and of course I-20, Interstate 20 over here. This is another angle from November. And of course these are on the grounds from September through December of them working out there. And if there are any questions, if not, the applicant representative is present. Chairman.
Thank you. At this time, we're going to open it up for our public hearing. The applicant and those that want to speak in favor tonight, you have 10 minutes to do so. You may come at this time. The applicant and those that want to speak in favor tonight have 10 minutes to do so. Please state your name, your address for the record, please.
Good evening. My name is Thomas Mitchell. My address is 1809 Beaufort Highway, Beaufort, Georgia. With me is John Nix, local attorney here in Covington. I represent Covington Creek Holdings. I am going to only briefly address you, and I'd like to reserve the bulk of my time to respond to any comments that may come in opposition. The photographs that you saw last show that that property has been substantially developed. And as a matter of law, they are entitled to complete the development. The development is almost 80% complete. In your package, you've been given affidavits. Those affidavits outline what has been done, what has been completed, and the fact that that Covington Creek Holdings has already spent $3 million in reliance on the LDP and the preliminary plat. They had an approved LPD and an approved preliminary plat, and they began work on the LDP within weeks of that approval. The plans were reviewed and have been approved, and everything they've done out there has been consistent with your code and with all the other applicable regulations, the environmental regulations, and all those types of things. And as a result of the fact that they are consistent with your code and those regulations, they are requesting an extension to complete the work on an already approved preliminary plat. They didn't delay. There wasn't a dormancy in that site. As Ms. Applewhite said, they encountered rock and they had to do some redesign work. But they've done that work and are entitled to continue. In fact, I would tell you they have the vested right to continue and to complete that development that is 80% complete. And finally, there is no benefit to the county and there is no benefit to the public for that site to remain dormant. Most of us remember what the pipe farms looked like back after the recession, and I mean, essentially that's the state that development is in. There's no trees out there. It's been cleared and 80% complete. And as a result, I would request that you overrule the Planning Commission's denial of the 1-year extension on the preliminary plat and allow them to complete that work. I'm happy to answer any questions, but with that, I would just simply repeat that because they're in compliance with everything that your code requires, the state code requires, as a matter of law, they're entitled to be able to complete that work. And I would encourage you to vote to allow them to do that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak in favor tonight? Anyone else want to speak in favor tonight? Anyone else want to speak in favor tonight? We also allow 10 minutes for those that would like to oppose tonight. You may come at this time. Please state your name and address for the record, please. Anyone would like to oppose tonight?
Again, Maya Allen Neely, District 3. I wanted to add to that there are residents that live directly behind this development that has complained about the foundations of their homes being destroyed. To me, before you purchase land, I would think that a survey would be done prior to. I think it was greed, and they saw that they could make the money, and they're trying to make their money back. But again, I don't think the people of District 3 should have to suffer behind that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Greetings, Commissioners. My name is Tercia Hodge, that's T-H-E-R-C-I-A, H-O-D-G-E. I am a 16-year resident of Newton County, District 3. I opposed at the planning zoning meeting because we fought this developer initially because he wanted to build multifamily homes. It was approved for purchase. My neighbors found out early last year they're for rent. I speak on behalf of all my neighbors in Silver Ridge Farms that we don't want this development. The first phase is at the adjoining line along with the huge apartment complex. It's not fair for us homeowners to be surrounded by built-to-rent homes. They're on Jack Neely, they're on Kirkland Road, they're on Quarrel Road. If he can lessen those homes, not 71, and make them for purchase, maybe you can approve, but not rentals. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Please state your name and your address for the record, please. Good evening.
My name is Sabrina Moore, and I'm at 120 Faircliff Drive. And she spoke about the homes that's directly behind it. That's me. And I, along with my other neighbor, well, I myself, I have already suffered damage to my foundation. So I say no to this whole development.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Please state your name, your address for the record, please.
Yes, Elena Sanders, She Leads Initiative Government Affairs Director. As I mentioned, in 2021, when we voted for this project, the applicant came before us to build 200 homes. It was denied. And I asked the question, were any of these homes going to be rentals? We were told no. They were approved to build 50, and then later on it was increased to about 70-some homes that turned into be rentals. And so across the street, they put the remainder, which became smart, very smart, business-oriented, and they put the remainder, which should have been 50, and it was increased to 71. And so we've had residents who have had blasting, their windows and everything. These should not be built. For one, they were told that these homes were going to be purchase homes and not rental. That's a problem, as well as with our ordinances. That's a problem that people are coming up here stating that they're going to be building homes for purchase, and then later on they become rentals. This should not be approved.
Anyone else? Please state your name, your address for the record, please, sir.
Good evening. My name's Tim Gwynn. I live at 3510 Fairview Road, so I live directly in front of this project. And like all the rest of the people that live in a direct proximity to this, we've had damage to our homes from the equipment and the blasting for sure. Another real interesting thing now, this developer should have surveyed this land. His lack of planning should not be the cause of more pain and suffering for us. There's plenty of visible rock that was on that land before it was ever touched with one piece of bulldozer or any type of clearing equipment. And he ran into rock, and there's a bunch of rock back there. But his lack of planning should not be a problem for the rest of the county and the citizens. Another thing, they haven't done any work. Not one piece of equipment has been on that property since January of 2024. They have not done any work this year at all. I talked to the contractor. The contractor said they weren't getting paid. I don't know how true that is. That's not my problem. But according to the contractor, the developer wasn't paying them. They stopped work, and that's why there hasn't been any more work done on that property. I just say, there's a lot of issues with this. This should not be approved. And especially the rental part should not be approved. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Dave Norton of New Bern. Once again, there is no one here, a citizen, speaking in favor of a project. Please note that. A lot of us are being called complainers. We complain about everything. Well, if we're complainers, there should be someone on the other side that's approved of it, someone in favor of it. But yet we have seen no one. One time in the past year have I seen someone in favor of such project as this. Please note that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Thank you. Billy Andrews, 70 Brown Thrasher Run, Oxford, just up the road. Just wanted to bear witness to a project like this before. Prior to coming over here, I was in Henry County, and I lived in the south side of Stockbridge, in addition to Eagles Landing, over by Rock Quarry Road. So I can give you firsthand testament of what rock blasting will do to the foundation of homes in that area, the neighborhood. So I would just like to, back and give affirmation to the statements that are happening here that homes will be damaged if they use blasting, if you will. I've witnessed pipes, foundation cracks, and everything like that from Henry County. Also, the land survey, I was listening to them in the back. That's a definite. That should have been done. So they should have found rock during the survey, and that survey may have failed them, but that's still not an excuse to continue a project that's going to damage homes that are already established. So.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Thank you. I'm sure you want to come back up for your remaining time. We're going to open that back up.
The developer has complied with your code and the regulations. When it comes to the type of work that they have been doing on that site, there are requirements for how it's been done, and there has been no citations. There has been nothing indicating any kind of enforcement action against the developer for anything that they've been doing on that site. The work that has been going on in the past year is the work to address the rock, and that is a different contractor. A lot of the rock work in terms of removing it from the ground has been completed. There are still piles of rock out there that need to be crushed and removed or distributed, but that's the work to be done. At the end of the day, what essentially this particular appeal is about is property rights. The owner has an approved land development permit. He has an approved preliminary plat. He has done what staff has told him. He has complied with your code, and as a matter of law, he's entitled to finish that. He has invested over $3 million, paid $3 million, has incurred another $1 million. The affidavits before you outline all of that. There's an exhibit to one of those affidavits that show you how those funds have been incurred. So that he's got what the law calls investment-backed expectations to be able to complete the work that he has done. A lot of the things that the folks, I understand the concerns that of the folks that came up here, but a lot of the things they're talking about are either issues that can be addressed with code violations, and there aren't any, or should have been addressed in the zoning process, or as one lady pointed out, in Newton County's codes. The property is zoned for what it is, or for the use that's being done. The preliminary plat shows 71 lots under the current zoning, and it's 80% done. And all that he is requesting, and what he is in fact entitled to, is a 1-year extension on to complete the work on that preliminary plat. There's no benefit to just leaving that site vacant. It's been cleared. A lot of the infrastructure has been put in. The only things remaining to be done are to complete crushing and removing the rock, do the fine grading, and then install the water service lines so that the curb and gutter. I mean, that's how close this is to completion. And frankly, if the commission refuses to give the developer the extension, then the county deprives him of that $3 million he's invested and the opportunity to build on a site that's 80% complete. With that, I'm happy to answer any questions, but that's essentially where we sit tonight.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else want to speak in favor tonight? Well, it's still open. Anyone else want to speak in favor tonight? That portion is now closed. Ms. Applewhite, if you would, please come on up. Sir, you can stay. There may be some questions for you. Commissioner Lindsay.
Yes. Ms. Applewhite, can you walk me through?
Can you turn your mic on for me, please? Thank you.
It is on.
Okay.
Can you hear it? Can you walk me through the timeline? I know that I have in the packet that they got approved for the preliminary plat in 2022.
Yes.
That's correct?
That is correct.
And so to make sure that everybody understands what the process is a 24-month period of time that they have to do all of the grading and everything that they need to get to a point where they can issue a final or submit a final plat.
Yes, they have to actually have an approved final plat within the 24 months or the preliminary plat will expire.
Okay. Now, in 2022, do you know at what point there was an issue with the rock?
Let me get, just 1 second. So the preliminary plat, we issued it in September of 2022. That was at the end of, almost at the end of the year. And then in February is when February 3rd is when they got the land disturbance permit issued. And that would have been the time when they would have started the groundwork to discover that. So it was during 2023 when the fire department issued them the permit for the rock blasting.
Okay, but slow down because I want to make sure I understand this. In 2022 in September is when they applied for the preliminary plat.
It was approved by the
When
planning
it-
commission,
approved.
yes.
And then you mentioned the February date. What happened between September and February?
They more likely were preparing their land disturbance plans to be submitted.
How long does that
We
typically
issued the
take?
permit, actually, let me correct that. We issued the permit after reviewing it on February 3rd.
Okay, how long does it typically take for somebody to do a land disturbance permit application?
The review process, we have 30 days to do the initial review, and if there are any updates, it will be returned to them. So they submitted their LDP on October 27th of 2022. So the
Okay.
plat was approved in September, they submitted their LDP the following month.
Okay, so they submitted it within 30 days, a little over 30 days, and then they got an approval from you guys in February of 2023.
That is correct.
Okay, and then after February 23, what happened? What, were you informed of anything that was going on with this project that led to a delay?
The fire department, in speaking with them, they told us that they issued the developer a permit to do the rock blasting because they had encountered significant rock out there. I also have my staff that would have done their periodic inspections.
But before you get to that, when was it that the fire department issued the permit to allow the rock blasting?
I do not have that date with me,
Okay.
that precise date.
Does anybody know?
I know that they mobilized the rock removal in July and August, so.
Of 2023?
Of 2023. The
Okay.
redesign work began as soon as they encountered it, and then they mobilized the equipment there that summer. So presumably the permit to do that would have been issued sometime about that time.
Okay, so when the permit was issued, at what point was the rock blasting complete?
I don't have an exact date for that, but it happened during the, I know in September 12th of 2023, they did a revision to the land disturbance permit plans after they encountered that problem. They had to do some adjustments to the detention pond because of the areas that they had to blast out as well. So they were still working on it as far as September in 2023.
Okay, what happened after September 23? Because we have someone that says that there was no work at all done in 2024. Do you know
No,
of
we
anything?
have inspections that were conducted that will show that they were doing work out there.
Okay, so you have documentation of inspections that were done in 2024?
We do.
Do you have a documentation in terms of right there in front of you?
Not in front of me. I didn't print the inspections.
Do you have any idea of how many inspections were done in 2024?
I can't give a number offhand, but I can provide that information to the board as needed.
Do you guys know whether or not, what inspections were done in 2024? Because I'm assuming, and I may be wrong, but I'm assuming if there were inspections, that means that there was work that was done that had to be submitted for inspection.
Correct.
Okay. Off the top of your head, do you recall if there was more than 3 inspections done in 2024?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay. So in 2024, there was work that was done, and this application for the extension happened in September 2024?
The request for, say again, please?
The request for the extension was in September of 2024?
That is correct. So they requested the extension in September. It was heard, by the Planning Commission in October, November, and then we're here today.
Okay. The preliminary plat that was approved, I'm assuming, but just to be clear, every single aspect of that preliminary plat matched what the zoning laws were at the time that they submitted the application?
It did. From every department that did their review, they met the requirements of the ordinance at that time.
And they were in full compliance?
They were.
Can I ask Patrick a question, or do I have to wait till another time to ask him a question? Patrick, let me ask you this. Can you explain as simply as you can what the standard is for approval of a preliminary plat?
Yeah, I can. In simplest terms, in the Newton County UDO currently, the standard for granting a preliminary plat is basically this. If the plat submitted by the property owner or the developer complies with the zoning ordinance, then they're entitled to the issuance of a preliminary plat.
Okay.
That's in simplest terms.
So that means that it's not discretionary?
That's correct.
Okay, and when I say not discretionary, that means that as long as all these check boxes are checked, then you have to approve the plat.
That would be correct.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. As it relates to the extension, because we already got to the point where they are approved for the plat, they've asked for an extension. Can you tell us what will happen? Because I hear you on the property rights. I hear you. I hear them too. And I hear me too, because I'm in the district. What is the definition, or can you explain what vested rights are?
So that's a little harder to do simply. I'll try to do it as simply as I can. Vested rights is a term of art in the legal world that generally refers to a constitutional right to utilize property for a specific purpose. You gain vested rights by doing a number of things. Generally, acting in reliance upon a properly issued permit is one of the things that grants you vested rights. Spending money on a properly issued permit or on a properly given official assurance that you will get a permit, that would be the type of thing that would grant you vested rights. And what vested rights do is once you have achieved the level of vested rights, your rights vest. You have the right to continue that project. And that's why you see subdivisions happen in phases. So like a 5 or 6 phase subdivision, once that preliminary plat is approved for all 5 or 6 phases, they're locked into that. They aren't stuck with a change in the rezoning or a change in the development regulations. They get to rely upon the rules that were in place when they got their permit.
Okay, so we're talking about an extension now. We're not talking about a preliminary plat application. Do vested rights apply to extensions of preliminary plats?
Yes, I would suggest to you that's the reason they exist.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason they exist is to ensure generally that a developer can complete a project once begun, provided that the project was undertaken in compliance with your zone.
Okay. What happens, if you can answer this question, if we deny this extension that they've asked for, taking in consideration the interests that the public has already stated, taking in consideration, I think one of the gentlemen had mentioned public health, safety, and welfare. These are all good arguments, but as it relates to what happens when the person has vested rights and they're denied an extension for a preliminary plat in which they have invested rights to proceed on.
So I'm going to answer that question by comparing a typical zoning lawsuit and a typical suit that arises from a permit denial. A typical lawsuit challenging a zoning denial would, the legal issues for the court to decide are the balancing the interest, balancing the government's interest in preserving health, safety, welfare, community standards, things like that, which you do through your zoning ordinance. And the court in a zoning suit balances those against the property owner's right to make use of his property. So there's a balancing test involved.
And before you go forward, that balancing test would include all the things that were mentioned by the individuals that talked up, like public safety,
yes,
welfare, and all of that.
Yes.
That's for zoning.
That's generally what we're talking about when we talk about public interest. And that happens at the zoning stage or in a zoning lawsuit. I can say this because I know Mr. Nix and Mr. Mitchell know this as well. They're not hearing anything from me that they don't already know. In a typical lawsuit challenging the refusal to grant a preliminary plat, when the property complies with the current zoning, the balancing of interest is no longer the issue. The issue becomes a technical review, for lack of a better description, of whether or not the permit, when issued, was issued properly. If the preliminary plan was properly issued and the property did in fact comply with the zoning, and there is nothing in the zoning ordinance that expressly calls for revoking, not an expiration, but a revocation for failing to comply with something. At that point, typically a judge rules without consideration of the public health, safety, and welfare. So it becomes more or less a technical review of your zoning ordinance and the plan to determine compliance with the zoning ordinance. And under our zoning ordinance, the extension of the plan is evaluated the same way the plan is. There are no other standards for an extension of a plan.
And I hear what you're saying, but to make it very plain, is it my understanding of what you're saying is that if we deny this extension, then we're going to end up in litigation, and the litigation is likely not going to go in our favor?
Well, let me say a couple of things. It is my job to defend whatever decision this board makes. Okay, so I defend whatever decision the board makes. And I'm going to say this in general terms, applied generally, not specifically to this instance. But if there is an instance in which the board denies a preliminary plan when the plan conforms in all respects to your zoning ordinances, the ability to successfully defend that lawsuit is remote. You can achieve a delay. That delay comes at a cost. Obviously, there's fees, there's expenses, and when I say delay, I don't mean the unreasonable delay that lawyers impose upon us. Just the general time it takes to litigate a lawsuit. Typically, so in zoning lawsuits, it is exceedingly rare for a property owner to win a damage award. It is extraordinarily rare in a zoning challenge. In a challenge to a permit, it is not as rare because a property owner can show, I had a right to do this because that right was denied. If a property owner can prove that they suffered financial harm, sometimes it's hard to do that, there is a potential for them to receive an award of damages. If the denial of a permit is just outrageous, if there's absolutely no basis for it, you would run a risk, probably not a huge risk, but a risk of suffering an adverse attorney fees award, which means in addition to paying me, you would have to reimburse the property owner their attorney fees. That's not something I would count on getting if I was a property owner, but it could happen.
Commissioner,
I'm sorry.
we got to get a motion on the floor before we go into discussion. We got to get a motion on the floor. Got three options.
I understand. I know what the options are. Okay, I don't have a hard time saying no when I need to. But it's more difficult to say yes when you don't want to. And I don't want to. But we have an obligation, and the obligation that we have is, like he said earlier, public health, safety, and welfare. But that obligation is only applied to enacting zoning laws. As it relates to the decisions that we make on this board, we have to act in the best interest of the county, period. And while I do not want to say this yes, I am obligated to do so. So I'm going to motion to overrule the Planning and Zoning Commission's decision to deny the preliminary plat extension, because that is in the best interest of the county. And I want to also add that we have to aggressively address our zoning laws as we move forward. I know that's not a part of it, but I want to make sure that people understand that. We have an oath, and that oath says that we have an obligation, not only to the people, but to the state constitution and the U.S. Constitution.
Commissioner, hold on for 1 second. Deputies, if y'all could help me keep order. Guys, I'm actually, again, we don't, this is a business meeting. We're going to make sure we treat it like that. So if you can remain from talking, we greatly appreciate it. Go ahead,
I was
man.
going to say that the oath that we have taken to do these jobs, not only an oath to the citizens of Newton County, but is also an oath to adhere to the state and U.S. Constitution. And with that being said, I would reiterate that I am going to motion to overrule the Planning and Zoning Commission's decision to deny the preliminary plat extension, because that is in the best interest of Newton County.
Is there a second?
Chairman, just 1 minute, please. Could there be approval to include the recommendations as well?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Lindsay and second by Commissioner Mason. Is there any discussion, Commissioner Long?
I've got a few questions for you. If we're 80% into this project, why do we need another 12 months?
Because they encountered the rock, and so that they had to, that prompted them to have to spend extra time.
But you said we're 80%.
Correct. What remains to be done is the fine grading.
Excuse me, hold on 1 second, sir. Ma'am, I'm gonna ask you one more time, can you please refrain from speaking in the board meeting, please? Thank you, sir, go ahead.
What remains to be done, the other 20%, is to remove the remaining rock from the site, the piles of rock that are out there, do the fine grading work that's necessary to do the paving and the curb and gutter, and install the water service lines. Everything else has been done, but those things couldn't be done until the rock was addressed, and that's what they've been trying to do.
Okay. My question is for Sheena. When this property was originally zoned, was it zoned for this 71 dwellings? And what kind of dwellings are these? Was it zoned for? It looks like it says R2 here, single family residential. Is that what we're still building here, or something changed?
No, it is zone R2 single family residential. They are building single family homes.
Single family homes is what they're building. All right. And then was it presented that it was going to be purchase and sale? What was it presented? Because the community seems to think that things have changed. So, and since we're this board, some of us are newer. I mean, I remember being in the room, but I cannot remember exactly what was presented in that zoning.
When the project initially came in, when they did Covington Creek, which is across the road, they initially were told that they were owner occupied. Mm-hmm. They were going to be, that was the intention for them to be owner occupied. Mm-hmm. And, of course, we learned at a later date, once that project was completed, the Covington Creek, that, they were rentals. As mentioned before, the rentals is not something that ordinance regulates.
But we're going to put that in the new one, right?
We sure.
All right, okay, that was my question, is what's changed? Because the community keeps talking about changes, and I wanted to know from these people, you know, why was it changed? Did we present something that is not true? Did we present something that's currently not what it is at this point? So that's what was my question.
And I believe, I'm so sorry, Chairman.
Go ahead.
I believe Commissioner Long also asked a question previously, why the 12 months? That also takes into account the review time for the final plat, because they have to have that approved within the 12 months as well.
Thank you. I got Commissioner Mason and then Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So with the whole rental piece, and we've seen developers come before us, as the developer, are you willing, and we've seen developers come in and do this, are you willing to put that in the initial covenant and make that as a recommendation that these are not going to be rental homes?
I mean, because of the market conditions and what in the situation and what the code says and the fact that we've complied with the code, I'm not prepared to stand up here tonight and do that. That's something that again, going back to what was discussed earlier, if that had been done at the zoning standpoint, at the zoning stage, or if, as it sounds like you all are going to amend your uniform development ordinance to include those kinds of restrictions, then perhaps that would be something that we could do. But at the preliminary plat stage, under the law, as I understand it, it's just not proper to impose those types of conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Mr. C. Question I guess I have two questions. The first question is the planning, and I guess it's to Ms. Applewhite. Did the Planning Commission, were they aware of this extension, and what did they say?
Yes, this was taken to the Planning Commission back in October and then again in November. And they denied the extension. And the concerns cited were that they were going to be rental properties. They were concerned of the effect of the values of the single family, the owner-occupied homes that are neighboring them. And I think I had them on the PowerPoint here, so I can give you an accurate. Right, so there was rentals, and there were concerns regarding the density, and of course the rock blasting that occurred earlier in the project. And then of course, they expressed that the UDO is currently being updated right now as well. So those are some of the reasons that they expressed concern for the extension of the plat.
Yes, ma'am. And there was a reason why we have a planning commission, to kind of look at it first and give us a recommendation.
Correct.
Of how they feel, excuse me, and for also as well as the community in District 3, how they feel and what they would like for us to maybe consider. Lastly, the second is, and I'll be through, is that we didn't approve the board members. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, somebody help me, was my planning commission member, was she one of the people being recommended that it was for approval?
What's her name? Is it
Miss, can't think of her name.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she's approved.
Okay, fine.
I'm sorry. You finished? All right,
One quick thing. I understand. Those people live there. I don't live over there. And they have to endure the blasting and the other stuff that they may be doing, and the fact that the planning commission sided with the residents of District 3. Then who am I to deny them that? Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Go ahead. I have a question.
Commissioner Lindsay.
I have a few questions. There is the Planning and Zoning Commission that makes the decision. Is the staff in a position to recommend a ruling to the Planning and Zoning?
Staff does make a recommendation.
And what was the staff's recommendation in this case?
Staff recommended approval of the extension.
So the staff that was hired by the county looked at all of this information looked at all the information that was provided from the departments, and made a recommendation for the preliminary plat extension to be approved.
Yes.
Okay. That's all I have for right now.
Thank you. It was motioned by Commissioner Lenz and I think second by Commissioner Mason. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Well, can I just say one more thing? No? Okay, that's fine.
All in favor? Any opposed? Passed 3-2.
Those are all the petitions for this evening, Chairman.
Thank you all. Thank you. We're going to revert back to Mr. Johnstetter, please.
Oh, yeah, I did. I do.
We're back on item number 10, please.
All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. All right. So I'm not familiar with the public.
Guys, we are still in our meeting tonight. If you can, please refrain from talking.
All right. So I'm not familiar with the Public Facilities Authority, but I had an opportunity to read the old law and what the proposals are. I see that in Section 5, the recommendation was to replace it in its entirety, and it looks like the most significant change is that there's an omission of "for any other political subdivision" from the new version. Is there a particular reason why that has been offered as a change?
I couldn't hear you. Say that again.
I said, is there a particular reason that that has been offered as a change? It looks like for Section 5, the main change for Section 5 is the removal of "for any other political subdivision." So the original included that, but the revision omits that. So the revision says, "No such revenue bond shall be issued to finance a project for the Newton County School District or any other municipal corporation within Newton County without the approval of the Board of Commissioners of Newton County."
Right.
But the original says, "or any other subdivision, political subdivision or municipal corporation of the state located within Newton County." So I'm just trying to figure out what was the reason for that change.
Right. So it was really just to focus it on what we anticipate doing with the Public Facilities Authority.
Okay.
And the reason that language is there is you could, over time, appoint a third party, an independent authority board. And we don't want you to give them free rein. We want to make sure that whatever they do ultimately, if it is for the purpose of any entity other than the county, must come before this Board of Commissioners for approval. But that change was really made. It was an intentional decision to focus it on municipalities and school districts.
Just to focus on municipalities and the county?
And the school district.
I'm sorry, the school district, okay. Are there any other authorities that we have that actually can issue revenue bonds?
Well, you can. The Board of Commissioners can. And but the problem in most instances is you aren't receiving revenue from a particular project. And the revenue bond law doesn't prohibit, but it excludes kind of your typical government functions. So the purpose of the revenue bond law is kind of to finance other things that are more on the periphery of your government. So you don't really use a revenue bond law to finance like your 911 center because that's a typical government function.
Okay.
So it's really there to finance sort of the odd project that you're undertaking. Maybe you're, an airport that generates revenue. That would be something you might issue a revenue bond for.
And I know that we're making these corrections, I guess, to expand some of the powers of this particular authority. But I also noticed that the section on the members is 5 members that are on this particular authority. And when I was inquiring about it, I was told that as a board member, you have to be on there. but based upon what I'm looking at, you can do appointments, correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. You're not required to be on there, but that's how we've done it here to ensure sort of I don't like to use the word control, but it's almost a direct oversight. You will, by you serving on the Public Facilities Authority, there's no risk of it undertaking projects that the Board of Commissioners doesn't want to see happen.
Okay. Is it possible for us, since we're already fixing this or amending it, is it possible to incorporate in section 2 some community input? So instead of having 5 members, have maybe 7 members and 2 members be from the community? Is there a way to change that at the same time so that we can have oversight also from the community?
Yes, we could make that revision if that's one the board wishes to make.
Because right now
I will say this: the only it's more of a practical concern I would have is we will typically, when the Public Facilities Authority needs to act, which isn't routine, it's fairly uncommon, but we would typically convene a meeting immediately before or even simultaneously with the Board of Commissioners meeting. I don't want to do anything that would slow your ability to have the authority meet, function, and act. But if that's something that's important to the board, we could certainly
I understand.
make that.
All right. That's all I have.
Anyone else? Anyone else? I seek a motion, please. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. Any more discussion? I'm sorry. Any more discussion? All in favor? It passes 5-0. Thank you, sir. Next.
Chair.
Thank you. Go ahead.
It's okay, Chairman. We're at item number 12, and it is the alcohol license and 2025 renewals. That's located on the last page of your agenda packet, but we do have a final reading, Chairman.
Thank you. Let's do the alcohol license first. The renewals, yeah. So Patrick, all of them are in good standing?
That's right.
All right. So I seek a motion, please. We're doing the renewals. Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Edwards and second by Commissioner Mason. Any discussion? All in favor? It passes 5-0. Next, wait, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Chairman, we have the final reading from Marathon Food Mart 2527, Highway 81 South, Covington, Georgia 30016, licensee Amit Budwani, District 2.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And there were no incidents or issues. It's all clear. Okay, thank you. So I'd like to make a motion or move that we approve the final reading for Marathon Food Mart 2527 Highway 81 South, Covington, Georgia 30016.
Is there a second? Is there a second? Thank you, Commissioner Edwards. It's been motioned by Commissioner Mason and second by Commissioner Edwards. Any discussion? All in favor? It passes 5-0. Next on the agenda is citizens' comments. This opportunity will allow citizens to make comments. You may come. You have 3 minutes to do so. Please state your name and your address for the record, please.
Dave Norton of New Bern again. Earlier in the UDO meeting, our commissioner from District 2 mentioned we need to be growing, not dying. Newton County and Covington are within an hour of a major hub of the United States, of the Southeast, within an hour of the busiest airport in the world. Newton County and Covington will never die. This is not Americus or Albany or Plains. Newton County will never die. Also, our District 3 commissioner mentioned, I may not have this correct, about a prohibition towards multi-density housing and all in District 3. I have mentioned this before. If we do the 2-acre minimum as is required in the Alcovy watershed county-wide, then you, even at a 1 acre, then you eliminate a lot of the high-density possibilities. Also, I've been informed that tomorrow night's UDO meeting will involve public involvement, but the Board of Commissioners is not required to be up here sitting in the horseshoe. But I would ask, if you don't have prior commitments, come join us and sit in the seats back here and listen to what your constituents have to say on the UDO. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else? Please state your name and address. Happy New Year's. Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. I am Reverend Sharon Collins, and I reside in Fairview Estates subdivision. I am very, very pleased about the new board, and I'm very optimistic that we are going to see some changes and some things happening in growth. However, I want to make it public record that Fairview Park has finally really hit us really bad. We have asked for cameras, fences, all these other things that we were promised, and it didn't happen. We were sued, and they're asking for $1 million. We made the board aware of it, and we got no support. That park belongs to Newton County. So we are negotiating. Regardless, we will have to settle. We are in the process of settling. For how much, I don't know. But we're hurt about that. We're sad. We're scared. We're concerned that if this was able to be negotiated and agreed upon, who else can come to us? We have assessments that our homeowners pay every month. And we try to have at least 13 activities for them. We're in the process of possibly having to raise their assessments, losing homeowners that were vested in the community, that love the community. We have paid thousands of dollars for fence for ourselves out of our pockets, but something has to be done. And I can't say for sure, but I say allegedly, the persons that sued us, it could have possibly been some type of a nefarious deal that happened at night, and they had no business being in the park. We have no control over that. As a matter of fact, our homeowners association, or the company that oversees us, says we can't even hire security, because then if something happens with security, then we're liable for that as well. So all I'm asking you all to do is please take into consideration the citizens of, or the homeowners of Fairview Estates. It's just not right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And by the way, Commissioner Lindsay has spoken with me and our board, and she has committed to doing some things about it. But I just need to say this because it's been over a year, maybe 2 years, that we were told there were changes going to be made, and there were not. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening. Frederick Johnson, 1036 Highway 162. Commissioners, back in 2021, May the 4th, one of your meetings, you said that we was going to realign Moat Road to 162. Nothing never been done. I never seen any stops or anything or whatsoever. So I'm going to continue to remind you of it. Now, if possible, if we could get the traffic slowed down a little bit there around our church, that would be a big help right there. Anytime if we're having a funeral or if we're having a big crowd, I mean, we catch the blues trying to get out. You know, with people, they just go by there running 65 and 70 miles an hour. If we could just get get the speed limit slowed down a little bit, or traffic count, or whatever, you know. So let's think about that. But that, I thought I'd make mention of all of this, but what I stood up for, you know, King celebration is going to be on the 19th of this month. And on the 20th, normally on King's birthday, we try to clean off some cemeteries. This year I'm hoping that the weather will be suitable where we can do that this year. And I've earmarked 4 different cemeteries. I don't know if we're going to be able to get the volunteers out or what, but anyway, we're going to be working on one down on 162 at Twin River subdivision. There's a cemetery right beside the road that nobody never touched, you know. A few years ago, we worked on one inside of that subdivision, a little small cemetery. I think it was one grave in there, but it had grown up. We're going to work on that one again also. And there's another one down at Aaron Parker Cemetery. I worked on it several years ago. We'll go back down there and work on that one, hopefully, if I get the help. And there's another one down at, let's see, where was it? The Santee Bluff. That's on Alcoa Reserve Road. That's going out 213 just before you get to the river there, that subdivision on the right there, all the way to the back end. So we're planning on doing, you know, working on these 4. But I'm going to need some help, and several of the Laura Bush and them, they have promised me, you know, they'd get me some volunteers. So I have no idea how many volunteers we get. The young lady out at Georgia State University, she called me this morning, and they wants to have some volunteers. So I have no idea how many volunteers we'll get. Don't have no idea how many people we're going to get. So we just go from there. So we normally try to, you know, have some refreshments for them. So if y'all can help me out there, you know how to get in touch with me. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
And by the way, we're going to meet out at the Newton County High School, Newton County High School at 9 o'clock. We're going to depart from there at 9:30.
Thank you, sir. Got you, sir. Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, commissioners. My sole purpose actually coming tonight was in regards to House Bill 581, which was passed through the referendum in November 2024. I raised this issue with the board before the referendum was even on the ballot, and bringing it up again because it passed. Even the residents in Newton County passed this bill. Yet despite the communication, we still have not heard anything definite from the board regarding the next step. There is a process per the bill if you plan on opting out. To add to the complexity, there were suggestions from certain school board members about the school board opting out of this measure. As you know, the school tax is one of the highest taxes that we pay here in Newton County in conjunction with the high property values. If all entities, including the county, city, and school board, decides to opt out of this bill, how would it implement or how would it affect House Bill 581 when the residents of Newton County pass the bill? While it's true that the millage rate was rolled back in 2024, and some of the residents, it felt like just a photo op because we still had to post an increase. This kind of message leaves residents frustrated and wondering if our concerns are truly addressed. So tonight, I am once again asking for transparency and leadership. What is the board's plan for House Bill 581? Will you commit to implementing this bill? Or will you be like some of the entities opting out? What is the process? There is a 3-step process before you can decide to opt out, and you have to hear from the public. We do have a $60 million surplus minus the $1 million that we took from the budget from a 2-to-1 vote during the budget season. So I'm asking you now, in reference to all other residents of Newton County, what is your plan for House Bill 581? Because this is tax relief, where you cannot increase property taxes more than 2% a year. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anyone else?
Greetings again, Commissioners. My name is Tarcia Hodge. I am a District 3 resident of Newton County, also the Board Secretary for Silver Ridge Farms. Tonight, the plat that was approved was based on outdated zoning ordinances. This is why we are currently in a moratorium to update the ordinances. We have a problem of mass development, especially on the west side of Newton County. I live it every day. The issue of mass development was a hot topic, and the candidate now seated in the District 3 seat said she can fix it. However, tonight, she motioned to approve it for the county, not the committee, and this will contribute to the mass development. I rest my case.
Anyone else? Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So, Mr. Johnson, you didn't leave, did you? I wanted you to know Moat Road, the county manager just informed me Moat Road is on the 2025 project list. So it's only took me 7 years to get something done, but we're working on it. Thank you. Happy New Year to everybody, and welcome to our new members. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was going to say to Deacon Johnson as well, I have a couple of organizations because you had mentioned to us before that you were going to be doing the cemetery cleanup. So I'm affiliated with a couple of organizations as of last year. And so I've told them about the cemetery cleanup. And so I'm working to also get you some additional volunteers along that time frame as well. So I'll be reaching out to you soon in regards to that. And I just want to say Happy New Year to everybody and welcome our new commissioner colleagues. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Henderson. Commissioner Henderson. Come on, guys. We do have executive session. Commissioner Henderson. I got it.
Thank you. I just want to say this. It was a very good Christmas. We managed to give out, if you want to do more, give out, it was around about 50 bicycles, brand new bicycles. We hadn't intended to do it, but the outpouring of people who wanted to help somebody who may needed a bike, especially a child. We also worked with another organization to give out meals to the homeless and over across from Roses, over in the parking lot. And, I typically, Sandy and I, we'll get together and give out food and stuff like that. And that's all good because there's definitely a need of people who need help. I mean, real help. And we should all work together to try to help them if we can or do what we can. We are in a very difficult time here as a county. And we need to work more together than we have been working. And we need to, as best we can, be transparent. And I think that's something that we've been talking about for a while. But this is the year. This year we're going to come together and make things better, not for just one or two or three of us, but for all of us. Because first of all, we know that's exactly what God wants us to do, is to make things better for all of his children. And that's the good news. And I thank God for that news. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I say the last the two newbies. Welcome aboard. Commissioner Lindsay, you first, District 3.
I'm happy to be here. I plan on working. People that know my reputation know that when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. I'm disappointed that there are certain people that left, but I'm glad that this is being recorded so it can be played again. We are a team. We're going to get things accomplished for District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4 and District 5 together. We're going to fix some of the things that have not been fixed for years because we are going to work together. So to my citizens in District 3 and District 1 and District 2 and District 4 and District 5, you best believe we're going to get some great things done in 2025, 2026, 2027, and 2028. I need to remind everybody that I am not going to make decisions on this board for the purpose of getting reelected. I don't care about that. I'm going to make decisions on this board that's in the best interest of the county. And I, like I do in my profession every day, am going to fight for people. I got seniors asking me for taxation relief. That is a priority to me. I have a whole entire District 3 that's talking about overgrowth. I know about the overgrowth. I was here when it started. We're going to do something about it. Not Stephanie Lindsay. Individual got up and said, Stephanie Lindsay said she going to, no, it's not Stephanie Lindsay that's going to do this. It's the Board of Commissioners that's going to do this. It's the county manager that's going to help. It's Leanne Long that's going to help. Me and JC going to be best friends, believe it or not. He is the luckiest commissioner that has ever been in this horseshoe, because he gets to sit sandwiched between the vivacious Leanne Long and Stephanie Lindsay. But we're going to work, because this is a business meeting that we're having here the first and the third Tuesday of the month. And we're going to handle business for this county. And that ain't no lip talk. That's a promise. And I don't make promises that I can't keep. You could bet that, 100%. There's a reason that I'm here, and there's a reason that I had 9,000 people vote for me to be here. There's a reason Leanne had, the number she had voted for her to be here. There's a reason that the chairman had 40-something thousand people vote for him to be here. We're going to work. We going to work.
Oh, you got a minute left.
I have a minute and 10 minutes. I have a minute and 10 minutes. We're going to work. Patrick is going to work with us. We all going to work together because we all want the same thing. We want Newton County to move forward. We want each one of these districts to move forward. And that's all I have to say. And I got 55 seconds left. Can I use that for the next meeting?
No, ma'am. Commissioner Long.
I will be brief. I just want to tell the board, I'm happy to be here. The citizens, I'm happy to be here. My commitment to you guys and to the citizens of Newton County is a positive, productive government. Negativity and divisiveness might make headlines, but it does not pave roads in this county. It does not build communities. It does not protect our families. What truly matters to us is getting the job done that we were hired to do. I am not running for re-election. Okay, I got 4 years here to make it right, and that's why I'm sitting here. I'm gonna be, 5 years from now, I'm on a beach somewhere, okay? But I'm just telling you guys that I look forward to working with you. We're not gonna have this dysfunction that we've had for the last 4 years. That's why I ran for this seat, because I was tired of seeing it, and we're gonna all work together and get some things done, and I look forward to working with everybody here.
Thank you, ma'am. Hey, well, Brian, where you at? You still recording this, right? Oh, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Guys, we do have a need for executive session, but I do want to say I'm so thankful for the opportunity to be here, for the citizens that allowed this board to be here. Listen, we look forward to working with you guys, and I think we'll do some great things. And man, JC, 27 years, 28 years. I'll get it right next time, my bad. But yeah,
It's fine.
Well, yeah, congratulations.
You the youngest thing, them oldest thing.
Congratulations, sir. But can I get a motion that we move into executive session, please? And there's no need for a vote, is that correct? Yep. So guys, we won't be coming back out and taking a vote. So if you want to leave, you can. If you want to stay around, you can. But we are in executive session. Thank you.